Hello, YouTube. So let's say you're flying along in an area that maybe is unfamiliar to you, because, most of the time you can look outside and see where you're at. But maybe you're in an unfamiliar area, or maybe you're in instrument conditions and you can't see anything because you're in a cloud. Great. Probably a good idea to have GPS antennas. That's what this episode is. Um, there will be two GPS antennas on the tail cone of this airplane. And in order to mount them, you need to make up some doublers. So that's what we're going to do. Make up some doublers. First off, I need to thank Dennis for the shirt. We were at Oshkosh last year, and I won a Vans Lightbox. I already have a Vans Lightbox. I had given it to one of the Slack members, Dennis. We were at a beer gathering or something when I won it. And he sent me some swag from Air Canada, and as well as the shirt. So thanks, Dennis. That's very nice of you. Anyway, to the doublers. So Garmin has some very specific guidance on how you need to create these doublers, hole layouts, etc., etc. Even skin thickness, although I'm pretty sure the skin thicknesses that they recommend are based on practically pressurized aircraft. In an RV at speeds of 200 miles an hour, sure, it's fast, but a GPS antenna ain't creating the drag that needs a 63 thousandths doubler on top of a 30 thousandths skin. It's absolutely bonkers what they're recommending. I did do a 40 thousandth because I did have some of that material. Just so that it has a nice thick piece to use. So I created one, and then I used the same hole template. I used the one to create a second one. Now, I have two GPS antennas. I have to look up the numbers. I'm pretty sure one of them is the Garmin GPS 56, and the other one is the 57X. I can really quick check this out. 57X. Yeah, 57X, and then the 56 is the other one, I think. Yeah. Well, 36. So the 57X is a non-WAS antenna. That's for the G3X. It actually also has a XM antenna. I don't plan to use that. I'm not installing the GDL51 or whatever it is that lets you receive XM radio and weather. I'm okay with that. I may change my mind later. We'll see. But for now, it's just going to be for the G3X. The GA36 GPS is a WAS GPS antenna. Has different tolerances, blah, 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 blah. And that's what we'll be using for the GTN 650 IFR Navigator. All right, so how did I install these, or how did I choose to install these? As you can see, I drew some lines. Maybe you can't see them. I hope you can see them. I drew some lines across the cross section of the tail cone, and basically aligned them with rivets. So that way, these two antennas, they should be offset by a certain amount. Should have edge to edge distance because of the way they work. They are slightly powered, and therefore they're supposed to have, they possibly interfere with one another. So they need to have certain distance apart. I chose to mount them in this orientation that you see here, where you've got one forward, one aft, and offset from each other side to side. So that way they fit all of the specifications that Garmin recommends. And as you can see, I did end up moving it back slightly and on a new line. So this is also to avoid the bulkheads, the stiffeners, etc. in the skin. Did get pretty close, but did not actually intersect any of them. So this hole that I'm doing now is for the 57X, which has two holes because it's technically two different antennas. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You would think that this type of thing is simple, and at the end of the day, it is relatively simple stuff. But I can see why doing an actual scratch build from just plans would take someone so long. Um, you have to do so much work just measuring and laying things out and and whatnot just to get things to where you might want them. Like to create two doublers and install them onto a skin that had no holes in it. This whole process took like 4 or 5 hours. And like if this was just a doubler that Vans provided on a skin they had already pre-punched and lined up and said, just install them here, you'll be fine, it would have been a 30-minute job. So I very much have a lot of respect for any home builders, any scratch builders that do things like this themselves. I don't want to do all that. I'm much happier with the erector set style build of the RV-14. But honestly, these projects are kind of fun to do on occasion. So I did actually enjoy creating these doublers to the specs that Garmin provided and installing them onto the skin. Yes, they are primed. No, they don't need to have a proper ground plane connection. Technically, these GPS antennas don't need it. So you can prime both sides. And even so, like your rivets are going to technically create a ground plane connection between the skin of the airplane and the nut plates and all that shit. So it's going to have one anyway, but I decided, this is an exterior sort of facing thing. Yeah, it's going to have caulk around it to seal the antenna once it's fully installed, but let's just do it right. This was fun. You need to put a doubler in, and you can't put rivets or clecos in the center. I just take some AN3 bolts with a bunch of washers and tighten it together on the nut plates with the bolts. Use them as temporary clecos. So there you go. This is the 57X getting its install. We're going to go through the same thing with a doubler for the GA36. And then I don't know if I install it here. I guess probably do, because there's not much left to do. So that about does it for this one. Come back next time for maybe Avionics. See you later.